he's not going to leave you alone. That's it. He smells the dogs. He smells attention. That's what he smells. He smells attention. He's like, oh, new person. I love this.
Yeah, he's good. I like him.
No, he's the shit, man. Listen, there are people that get pissed off when I don't bring him to the podcast.
Yeah. Right when you said it, I was like, no, hell yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, some people, one of my buddies from corrections, he's allergic to dogs. So he came here for a few meetings and he was like, there's a dog here because I don't know if I'm going to be able to breathe. And I'm like, yeah, the dog's here, but don't worry. And he came in here and he was fine with the allergies. But a couple times I had to go into the meeting room, do meetings there, and then leave him in here. But he's quiet, man. He's so easy. Look at him.
Yeah,
That's
he's
it.
just chilling.
That's it. He's good, man. He said what's up and wants to go back and sit down.
He's just chilling.
But listen, man, I want to thank you for coming down.
I appreciate your offer to come down, too. You know, I hit you right up, and you were like, yeah, let's do it. So I was like, that's awesome.
Exactly what I talked to you about before we cut the cameras on, we cut the audio on, and just everything like that. It's just getting people that are authentic and have been through the trenches.
Yeah.
And that's something that your experiences may not have impacted, may not have ever made their way to somebody else.
Yeah.
And your story is going to impact people. And that's huge because on that post especially, I saw you said, not everybody knows the journey. Not everybody knows what I've been through. They see me now.
Yep.
And that could be said in business as well because there's a lot of entrepreneurs, there's a lot of people that have made something amazing of themselves, but they never saw the people that are tuning in now, late to the programming.
Yep.
Season 5, they came in late. They came in on season 5, and they never saw seasons 1 to 4, and the struggles, and the trials, and the crying, and the constant self-doubt.
Yep.
And it happens to all of us. So I'm glad that Brianna linked us up, and
yep.
she wanted that shout out. She's like,
no, I had it. I had it. It's her and Tony, 100%.
And listen, Tony's good people.
Yeah,
and
hell yeah.
His story's unbelievable.
Yep.
So, you kind of touched on it very little bit with me. I don't really know too much. A lot of my guests, we come in and it's some of our first times interacting.
Yeah, no, that's what's perfect about it because now it's just going to be like right. I'm going to just like smash it right on you. You're going to be like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah, and that's and it's authentic that way for me as well.
Yep.
I don't ever want to pretend like I'm like, oh my God, what?
So it's just going to be brand new to you and you're going to be like, okay, like this is what it is. Like,
so obviously our conversations happen between us and the listeners that don't know who you are going to know who you are. Mm-hmm. So why don't you start off with a little bio, who you are. Okay. What you do. I see you're a photo guy like me, so you're into all the camera gear and everything like that. So please.
All right. So my name is Korey Willis and basically I was born and raised in Patchogue, been all over because of where my path brought me. But like currently right now, yes, I am a photographer. I dibble and dabble into the videos and stuff. And like after 5 years of recovery and everything, that's like I finally found out what I wanted to do. And it was just like basically because of the pandemic. It was just like me trying to actually figure out who I was because I had that off time. Couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. So I'm like, you know what? Like, let me work on myself finally. Like, I was always so worried about, like, helping the next person, making sure the next person was sober. And it was, like, keeping me sober, but it wasn't always making me happy because that's what my life consisted of. It wasn't me doing anything for myself. But at that time, I thought I was doing something for myself because I was helping others. So I put everybody else first. So now, like, I made a post today, and it's just, like, I'm truly happy because I found who I am. And, like, you know, it didn't necessarily have to be the 5th year to do that, but it was just what my story brought to me, and that's how my path went. So now it's just, like, now I'm fucking ecstatic. It's, like, the best feeling in the world. It's a beautiful, beautiful feeling. And, like, I try to post on that and, like, touch on those subjects to give people hope to see. And that's, like, exactly why I wanted to do this with you because a lot of my new followers and people who know me only see, okay, so this kid dresses nice, he does this, he does this, he does that. But it's like, you don't know about the dirty sneaker with the holes in the sweatpants, sleeping in cars in the woods type shit that I went through. So it's just like, this is why I like doing this stuff. So you could see the transition. So it's just like a great thing for me.
That's, I mean, it's progression. Yes. That's what it is.
Yep.
And so coming from the, can we say low point?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
So coming from the ultimate low point and then going to where you are now, I mean, it's to look back and reflect.
Yeah.
It must be some type of feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you feel about that? Like when you seriously look back, and where did you ever envision that you'd be where you are now?
No, I never really envisioned that I would be where I am now. And like along the way, I just always told myself, this is what I should have been doing. This is what I should have been doing. So I was always still hard on myself. So it was just like, kind of like, no, don't give me credit for anything that I'm doing. I should have been doing this my whole entire life. I would be much further if I wasn't a drug addict. And then I got used to being like, okay, well, I was. And that was my life. And this is what I put myself through. So a lot of people don't make it out of that. And I'm making it out of that every day, because I don't want to say I made it out of it, because I never want to be like, oh, I'm not a drug addict anymore. You know what I mean? I'm going to be a drug addict for the rest of my life. Now I'm just in recovery. So
you think that stigma is always going to follow?
I mean, I don't want to say for everybody, but for me, because I was a drug addict, I am a drug addict, you know? Like, if I couldn't just go do heroin right now once, you know what I mean? I don't choose to drink. I don't choose to do anything, because I know myself. Drinking won't be enough for me. I'm going to go right back to a bag of dope, you know? So it's just like, one is not enough. And there's never too many for me.
And it's a slippery slope.
Yeah. And like, I could just see it in everything. It reflects in everything. Like photography. I picked up the camera. I got addicted to it. I sat behind a computer 8 hours a day, learning how to edit, learning how to do this, learning composition. So it's just like, I have an addictive mentality, and it's with everything. Anything that I put my mind to that I like, I'm like, I go extra hard on it. And it's like scary, because I'm like, holy shit, like, this is what I did with drugs. So I put that into things that I like now and that are not illegal, and just that make me happy. And it's crazy, because it's just like, holy shit, like, this is what my mind was doing to me when I was on drugs, doing anything that I could to get the drugs. And now it's like, I'm doing anything that I can to make my name get bigger and make my craft get better and like perfect it. So
my question for you is, it wasn't always like that.
No.
So you didn't start out in that drug-induced way. You know, I'm trying to figure out.
No, you can say whatever.
No, I know. I figure it's not that I'm trying to be sensitive. I'm also trying to be respectful of you and your journey, and I don't want to just like stamp labels and whatnot. I want to be somebody that understands that you've been through some shit, and you're on the other side of it positively, and amazingly. But we have to backtrack a little bit in the story and just say, if you're cool with that.
100%.
Talk about how you got to that point.
Yeah, I mean, so this is like, I'm very free and very open with my story. So,
and the more detailed and more open and transparent you are, the more it helps listeners and people that may be going through it or maybe thinking about going through it, and they understand that, damn, that's not the path I want to go down.
Yeah. It's just, I masked a lot of pain. I never really had a good relationship with my father, and I lived in a house with my mother and my father. My father lived upstairs, my mom lived downstairs. Could never understand why my dad didn't have the same love for me as my mom. Like, there's videos of me in Disney when I was like 4 years old, not even calling him dad, calling him by his first name. So it was just like, never had a relationship with him. And just like growing up and like going to school and seeing people with whole families, never had that. And I was fucked up for that, because I always still had my mom, and my mom was raised in the South, so it was like very tough love and different. Like, so it wasn't like, my mom always loved me, but we just never expressed it like that. It wasn't a bunch of hugs. It wasn't a bunch of I love yous every day. It was nothing like that. So when I saw it in other families, I was like, what the fuck did I do? Like, what happened in my life? Yeah, so it was just like, at the age 13, I was sleeping at my friends' houses and living there to go to school, because they had a mom and dad and a family together. My sister was already working in Queens at St. John. She was a dean of admission administration, and I was 15 years old, a drug dealer, like the failed child. And she was like the grade A student and amazing, doing a bunch of shit. And I wasn't. Like, I had a free ride to St. John's. I chose to, what I literally told her was like, I'd rather rap and be a drug dealer. And like, that was real in my mind. That was reality. So it was just kind of like, fuck you, I'm not going to school. So it was just like a bunch of shit that was going on in my life and making me mask pain. And then like the drugs were talking for a lot of it, but it really stemmed down from my upbringing. My mom tried as hard as she could to show me love in the way that she knew how to, and my dad just never did. So it was just like, what am I going to do to mask this pain? So I didn't dip into drugs thinking like, oh, okay, this is going to be my way out. But when I took drugs, it was.
It was a euphoric sensation, and you felt loved almost.
So I just kept doing it and doing it, not knowing at that point that I was going to become addicted to something and just chasing that feeling, because the feeling never lasted. So I just kept earning and earning for more and just wanted it more and more and more. So I just became addicted. and just didn't stop.
Yeah, so you hear a lot of people talk about drug addictions, and you hear chasing that first high. Mm-hmm. That first high is always the best one ever, and that was the one that the Mount Everest of highs, and every single one that you do after that, maybe, I don't know, you tell me, decreases in potency or decreases, and people try to counteract it and increase the dosages, and that's how they overdose. But that's that feeling that you're trying to go for.
Yeah, you always want that first feeling, and it's crazy because, like, you never get it. So knowing that you're at some point, you know in your mind, and you know in reality that you're not going to get that, but you keep pushing for it and trying to get it, and you just don't stop. And it's just like, I never got that high again. I never got that high in 15 years of doing drugs. I never got the same high. And it's like crazy because, like, I always tell people too, it was just like, I did Percocets first, like the first opiates, and I threw up for the first week of doing it, but I didn't stop because for 2 minutes I felt great. Even though I threw up for 40 minutes, the 2 minutes of greatness made me go back.
Really?
And that's what was the scary part, was that I would literally throw up for 40 minutes and only feel good for 2. But I would choose to do the same exact shit the next day.
So the pain was worth it, is essentially what you're saying.
Yeah.
So now your parents, were they divorced, or were they just living separately?
Well, we lived all together, and they're still not divorced, and that's the craziest thing.
But they they don't interact really?
Yup. He doesn't live there anymore, so now it's just me and my mother's house, and, like, I help take care of her. My mom's 77, so, like, I pay for her house, I do whatever, like, you know, and he eventually moved out. I ended up going to jail 2014, and when I came home, he was gone. So it was just like, yeah, just know nothing. And then like he tried to reach back out to me now, and it's like, I try not to be bitter about it, but it's just the fact that, like, you don't know anything that happened in my life. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know that I was a drug addict. He didn't know that I was in and out of jail. He doesn't know anything about that. So it's just like, I don't really need somebody like that in my life, father or not. I have enough friends. I have enough people that I talk to. I have enough support without adding somebody else and having to, like, re-establish my story to, like, for instance, like, I'd rather share my story with you than my own father because he chose not to be around. So don't come back around 15 years later asking me, as my father, what happened in your life? What did you do? What can I do this to fix it? Like, I understand that you want to fix things because you made the mistake, but at the same time, I've been working on myself, and I'm getting past that. So I don't need anything that made my mind put myself in that situation in the first place coming back up.
Completely understandable.
So, yeah.
No, seriously, completely understandable. Different scenarios with me and my father. My father, single parent. My mom's a single mother since I was 1.5, 2. Not the best relationship with my father and his family. I mean, I talk about this very briefly, and it's not because I don't want to talk about it. It's just because a lot of people don't. It's not that they don't need to know about it. It's just I've never really broached the subject. I used to go to my father's house because my dad has MS, and he lived with his mother for a while after he lived with my grandmother and my grandfather in Franklin Square after my mom and him split up. My mom and I lived in Hempstead. So I'd go to my dad's every other weekend. And when I'd go there, my grandmother had, and I call her the grandmother because I don't like her at all. I don't fuck with that side of the family.
Yeah.
So she would intentionally, and now that I'm a child, you know, and you look back as an adult and you just think about how you would treat kids and how you raise kids and how you want them to interact with, you know, family members and people.
Yeah.
Because she did not like my mother, she took it out on me. So there were family vacations and holidays where I was locked in the basement and I was separated from everybody. I mean, there was more than enough occasions where I could have definitely fucked up big time.
Yeah.
And I think the reason I didn't trail off at all is really because of my grandfather. I'm very blessed and fortunate.
Yeah.
My grandfather, my mom's father, who passed away 2 years ago, he was dad for me. Like, although I'm still cordial with my dad.
Yeah.
But he's like a friend.
Yep. Exactly.
I call my dad. He has AIDS now because the MS is so bad that he needs AIDS constantly around him. So he has AIDS now. I try to see him when I can, but my schedule gets kind of fucking crazy. He lives in Freeport, and I'll talk to him on the phone, and there's always something. Like, there's always some type of a reason he's got to get off the phone. So we'll be in the middle of talking something. If the conversation really isn't going anywhere and it's just me checking up on him, he'll go, you know what? I'm in the middle of getting dressed. I'll talk to you later. Or, you know, my aide just got here. I got to go. Like, I got bumped for his sister on phone calls too. It's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling as for a son. No. And no, I know you feel that, very different scenarios, but same thing.
Yeah,
Lack of a
exactly.
father figure besides my grandfather, it sucks, and it really does fuck with kids. And Jamal and I are going to talk about on the podcast how important that father role is in the house, and it really is. Society today wants to break that shit down and make it seem like you don't need that. You don't need dad in the house. Everything's whether it's any organization specifically targeting that, or it's just in general. People are just like, oh yeah, everything's. It's bad.
Yeah.
You need that father figure in the house
100%.
just as much as you need that mother figure, because together that's that yin and yang that's going to balance it out for you.
Yep, and without that, you really don't know what is going on. And like you said, it's just like majority of my life, I searched for another father figure in other people and was moving house to house looking for that. And it was like crazy. Like I look back at it now and I'm like, that's sad. Like I was literally staying at people's houses because they had a father and a mother together. So it was just like,
it just gave you comfort.
Yep, 100%. It was just like, okay, like I feel good here. I feel good here. I'm eating dinner with two parents. Like, even though they're not mine, I'm just going to erase that out of my head. These are my parents now.
And was it a feeling of security?
Yeah. Yep.
Being like as if you were afraid to not have that around at all?
Yeah. Yep. And it just like, little did I know it was messing me up more because I wasn't going to stay there forever. I was going to go back to the life that I had. So
it's almost like being on vacation.
Yep.
Every couple of days, vacation, and then coming back and going, oh, damn, back to regular life and back to regular life.
It was like, this shit sucks. I'm like, fuck.
And now going back to the, you said you wanted to rap and drug deal. Was that mainly because of the quick and easy money?
Yep.
Okay.
Quick and easy money, and like I always made music like with all my friends and everything, and then like, I strongly believe that I could have made a name for myself if I wasn't always on drugs. Like, so it was more of me making music for myself. That was good, but I wasn't doing anything to get it out there. And then I was just like, oh, this is great. Like, I'm the man. Like, people in my town know me. People in other towns know me, but that's never going to be enough to make something blow up. So it was just like, I'm going to just keep doing this and that, and I'm going to live the rest of my life like this. Like, I really thought that I could live the rest of my life until I died being a drug dealer and making music. And I'm like, reality check, you're in jail. Like, it's fucking crazy.
So now the progression of things, I'm curious to know how things kind of spiraled out. So you said you started off with opioids?
Yeah, yep.
And you started with that, and what kind of made you baby step it into or put a toe into the harder stuff?
Well, honestly, the money, because I was always selling it, and then like.
So it was you got it to sell, and then you tried it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then like getting it for cheap, so I never really had to worry about like that because I was still making money and getting high. But then like when shit goes south and like the person you're getting it from it fucking gets arrested and you can't get it, you have to get it from another person. Money's up. I'm like, fuck. Like now I am the drug addict. Like 100%. Didn't realize the whole time I was the drug addict already. But then when I had to start going out of pocket and paying for the shit, and I'm dipping into my stash and the money that I had and buying it, that I was like, fuck, I'm the drug addict. And then like money got real expensive to like start dishing it out like that I got introduced into heroin. Like knew about it, but I was like, I'm not gonna fuck with this. I'm not a dope head. But basically I really was, because I was on pills doing it more than anything. Like,
so before the heroin, you were doing opioids.
Yeah.
You were doing smoking weed,
drinking, Xanax, anything that I could get my hands on, I was doing.
And what was a day in the life of?
Waking up as late as possible, so I didn't have to like withdraw if I didn't have anything, and then just like going to the studio or going to hang out with my friends and just getting high all day and just letting the time go by, not doing anything at all. Just thinking I was doing something, but I really wasn't. And then it just like progressed into like bad, like me going into places and taking stuff and returning it at the next place just so I could get that high every day. That was my job. You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy. It was a crazy ass life. And that's the biggest part, is that like I tell people, especially like when I speak at meetings, and I tell people like, like you could do this, because not saying that I had it worse than anybody else, but everything that I put into getting high, I put into getting sober. And I put now into whatever that I want to do and make my life into. And I just put all that in, because I'm like, literally I could have got arrested at any point. And now I don't have to worry about that. So it's just like I'm putting all positive energy into the things that I want to be and want to do. And it's just so much easier.
Yeah, when you're working on yourself, working for yourself to push forward, it's a different vibe. I'm sure. I have a very addictive personality as well. However, my dad's an alcoholic. I'm very fortunate the fact that I don't have any of those addictive personalities for substances. Like drinking, I've stopped drinking multiple times. I mean, when I first did my first bodybuilding prep, I was away at college, and I didn't drink for over a year. So, I mean, I've been very fortunate that I guess my mindset has always been that I don't need it. And even when I did smoke weed a couple of times, I hated the feeling of being out of control of my body.
Yeah.
So that made me instantly just go, oh, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
So I never progressed anywhere past weed. I know a lot of friends that take Molly and party drugs and this, that, and it was never appealing to me because of that fact. I like to always be in control.
Yep.
And I've had some people say that's a self issue. That you always need to be in control. You got to let loose. But I've also had the other spectrum where I'm like, maybe I just like to know what I'm doing and what I'm putting into my body.
There's nothing fucking wrong with that.
Yeah.
At all.
So
because not having control has put me into some shit. I've been into some shit for that.
So tell me. So kind of what was the journey like after you started using heroin?
Wow. Well, I mean, okay, coming from a kid who was like petrified of needles and still am, like once I got to the point of sniffing too much heroin and it wasn't working, I was injecting myself.
So that's how you start. You can sniff heroin. I had no idea. Okay.
Yep. So I was sniffing bags, selling it, and I was like, okay, like this is a lot better than spending so much money on this. And it's just like that's the thing. Like after you get into it and you're progressively doing drugs and more drugs, oh, this ain't that bad anymore. It's just like I would never do heroin. And then I do it. I'm like, oh, this ain't that bad. Like who cares? It's just only heroin. And it's just like, how did I get to that point? And
you literally become numb to it.
Yeah. And then I just kept doing it. And then like I said, I was afraid of needles. And then like a year and a half in, I was shooting myself up. And I was like, I should have been fucking doing this the whole time. Like, it's just it's like mind controls you. And then after that, it was just fucking madness. Like, I was waking up in the morning. Like, if I had a job still, so like I would wake up in the morning. If I had to get picked up for work at 6:30, I was up at 5:45 just to make sure I would hit that vein with that needle before I had to go.
Really? So you found, did it affect work, I assume?
No, it made me, I had to, because it made me sick if I didn't.
Because of the withdrawals.
So I wouldn't be able to go to work. So it was just like, it was fucking sick. But it did affect work sometimes because like if I was not high anymore, I would fucking have people come to my job. Like I would never go far for work. I couldn't go far for work because I just couldn't risk it. So it was just like crazy. And I just did anything I could to get high. Like the main reason why I had a job was so I could support my habit. Because that's when everything went down and it was like I ran out of money. I didn't fucking have a plug anymore. I couldn't sell drugs. So it was just like, okay, now I'll work. Like that's the mentality of it. It's like, fucked up. I laugh because I'm like, this is like the shit that I went through now. It's just like, I'm working now because I'm like trying to do this shit. I'm trying to start my own businesses and doing all this shit now. But I'm like, I literally only worked 7 years ago so I could afford heroin. Like, and a Pop-Tart. Like, you know, that's like, and that was my go-to meal, a fucking Pop-Tart. Like, that's how crazy it is. It's just
yeah,
like,
I saw the picture. You very different structurally than you are now.
130 pounds. Like, crazy. And like when you're in that too, like I say everybody laughs because it is funny. Like I tell everybody, I'm like, you know what? Like when you're in active addiction and you look at yourself and you're like that, you don't see yourself like that. I looked at that and I was like, yo, every bitch loves me. I look like Usher, this and that. And I'm like, bro, I look like a character from the fucking Walking Dead. Like literally, I look at that picture all the time and I'm like, I really thought I was this shit in that picture. And I was just like so mad because I'm like, why the fuck didn't anybody tell me like, bro, you look like shit. Like you need to do something. Because like the one thing that I can say is like all my friends say like, yo, you never got scummy on us. You never did like fucked up shit to us. You always went and did it to like somebody else that we weren't friends with, that you didn't fuck with, or at a store or something. Like I never scummed my friends. And that's what like really saved me and gave me a lot of support at the end of like my run and just giving up and being like, yo, I'm done with this shit. And that's why like all the friends that I have in my life were there before this too. So it was just like a beautiful thing. Like my mom, I never robbed my mom. I never took from any of like the people I was in relationships with or anything. I just like had a different motive because, you know, like maybe in my mind I was like, yo, I'm going to need a place to stay, or I'm going to need this person to help me do this. And like nothing illegal, but it was just a fact of like, I can't fucking get over on somebody who's going to hold me down forever. So it's just like, I'm not going to be scummy to the people who've had my back forever. So it was like, that was a good quality of me. And a lot of people will say, that's why you made it out. That's why you chose to do the right thing, is because you always saw that good in yourself and in other people. Because like a lot of my friends had money and their parents had money and I just would never even do it. Like even when shit was missing, I would be like, yo, comfortably. I was like, I didn't take shit. And they would find out like, yo, he really didn't. And it was just like, this kid is the only one on drugs and the one who took it is not even on drugs. So it's just like, he's really fucked up, but he's not fucked up enough to do that. So it was just like something that was always inside of me to be real with those people. So I was like, I was happy about that I never really did some fucked up shit like that.
Yeah, because that's what you always hear. You always hear the people try, because the people closest to them are the easy access.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're trusting you. They already trust you. You're already part of the circle.
Yep.
And, you know, although they may point fingers at you because you're the guy that does drugs.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I started taking shit and this and that, but you never did that. So that's phenomenal. I mean, now here's the question, though. I would have asked that group of friends why they didn't stop me.
Yeah, see, well, the thing was
not to put them hang them out to dry 100%. Like type of shit.
A lot of people say that they didn't even realize that I was on drugs like that because I was always smaller. But like, I mean, like in that picture you saw, it was like you had to. That's know.
The extreme.
So it's just like, but. Also, a lot of them know, and it's what I tell people too. It's just like a lot of them just wanted to keep me close just in case of anything. But like when you want to stop doing drugs, it doesn't matter who tells it. Like I tell my girl all the time, I'm like, yo, listen, like I was obsessed with Rihanna years back. If she would have told me that she would have married me and gave me $1 million, I would have married her, took the $1 million and did drugs behind her back. I would have never stopped for anybody. So it was just like, maybe it was just a thing to keep me close and closer at times because they knew if they said something, I would just be like, fuck you, and not hang out with them because I got really comfortable with being by myself and just watching movies all day and shooting heroin, and I didn't need anybody around. But if my friends called me like, yo, you want to do this? It was probably because they wanted to check on me and make sure I was alive, and then I would actually come out. So I wasn't like...
So they were a support circle. They just weren't in your face like, stop, quit drugs.
I did have one friend who was like, I'm going to get you and I'm going to beat the fuck out of you. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, bro. I'm like, I'm not even on drugs. And I'm like 125 pounds. I'm like, yeah, you're going to fuck me up? I'll fuck you up. And I'm like, this motherfucker's like 215. I'm like, it would have ate me alive. And I'm like, you know, it's just what you think in your head while the shit is going on. It's madness. It
so really now, do you think the drugs really do dip into that consciousness and really distort and twist and make everything what I don't want to say what you would hope, but what it wants to make you see?
No, and that's like, and see, the thing is like when I was in rehab, since I wrote a lot of music, I was writing like a lot of poetry of how I felt because my counselor was like, this is the way you have to get it out. So I like started writing shit and it was like coming out so easy. And like one thing that stands out to me was just like something that I wrote, and it was kind of just like touching base on like how my friends would call and I wouldn't answer, but when my drug dealer did, I would, and that was my friend, and heroin was my friend, and the people who were checking in on me didn't like me, and the drug, it was just basically the drug telling me, these people don't fucking like you, they don't care about you, they don't give a fuck about you, your drug dealer likes you, I like you, I love you, come with me, fuck them, they're not gonna do anything for you, they don't make you happy unless I make you happy first. And that's the truth. Like, I couldn't do anything if it wasn't for heroin at that point. So it was just like, without heroin, I'd have no friends. Without heroin, I couldn't eat. I couldn't fucking sleep. I couldn't do anything. So it was just like, how can I compare my friends to something that was keeping me alive at that point? Which is sad to even say because it wasn't really keeping me alive. It was killing me.
Yeah, slowly.
Yeah, so it was just like, that was my best friend. That was the only person I trusted. Because when I felt like shit, my friend couldn't come over and be like, yo, you're going to feel better. It's like, no, heroin's going to make me feel better, and then we'll see from there. Like, it was fucked up. That shit, like, that's why, like, it's dangerous. Like, I would never, and like I say, and I sound like all fucked up. I'm like, it's dangerous, but it is. Like, it's just more, it's not even about the fucking dying. It's about the fucking the control that it takes over your life. Like, And like another thing I say was just like really scary. There's two things that are like fucking crazy. Is just that like, you know, like I was upstairs in my room praying that I would die, and my mom was downstairs in her room praying that I would stay alive. And it's just like a fucked up feeling that like we're praying at the same time and I'm praying to die. And
Opposite ends of the spectrum.
And then like, you know, like I don't like, I'm not really an emotional person. Like I'll write it out and like people will feel the emotions, but like, you know, heroin really fucked up a lot of shit. It made me like very cold-hearted and like I don't cry for shit. Like I've literally tried to cry about crazy like shit that's like really been bad. And it's just like I'm just so numb to it. Like
this is during, or that's even post.
This is post. Like losing, I can't even count how many people I've lost in this. And like I'm coming up on 6 years in May. I probably lost almost 70 people, like in addiction and like out of it. And I haven't cried once because of it. Like, and it's just like numb. And like I'll sit there and I'll try to think of every good memory I had with that person, and it's just like so numb to it. And it's just like fuck, like why can't it? And it's just like it took a lot of good from me. It took my emotion. Like it's weird. Like even the closest thing that made me to make me like get emotional and cry was like not even a year ago. I came home and there was a letter addressed to me, so I opened it. And I'm like, Mom, what is this? And she was like, oh, this is an insurance thing. She put like money in my name for a funeral. So she was like putting in an insurance. So just in case I died, that I would have money. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, that's how serious it was, that like you put money on me. So if I died, you would have enough for the funeral. I'm like, this is fucked up. Like, and you start realizing like, yo, this is what I was doing to people. Like people were caring, but they had to stay away at certain points and couldn't say shit because like, this is what they were going through. Like, and that's like what I tell people too. I'm like, you never know what you're putting somebody else through. And like it's fucked up. I'm like, damn. I looked at that and like I still haven't gotten over it. And that was like 7-8 months ago. And I'm like, this is fucked. Like this is what I put her through. So I'm like,
well, it's like suicide.
Yeah,
suicide's the same mental train wreck of a thing that it puts everyone else through.
Yeah,
you know, although the person who takes their own life, it's tragic and it's sad and it's horrible. The people around them who wish they could have done more or saw the signs written on the wall type of thing and intervened at the right time to get them help, but they didn't have any idea.
Yeah.
That shit lives with them
forever. Yeah, it's a fucked up thing, and it's just like if I didn't make it out too, like I could only imagine like what people would have been through. Like, is there something I could do? Because I go through that too. Like with my good friends who passed away from it, it's like I had to live with that shit and be like, this is what I have to go through. This is what I have to go through. And like, you know, one of my best friends, well, two of my best friends, one was killed in a car accident on Woodside and the other one's been paralyzed since. And this was years and years ago. And I never had the courage to go over to see my friend who was paralyzed. And I saw him at his brother's wedding a couple months ago, and it like really fucked me up. And I felt bad because he was my best friend, and it was just like, and like his mom was like, it's, you know, it's going to be a reality check. And like that night I was supposed to get in that car, but he made me stay at his house to watch it because he was leaving. So I was the one who found out about the accident. I knew everything, like when it happened, like, so it was just like, it really fucked me up. And like, and that's when I got into drugs heavier. I just like took that bigger dip because it was just like, everything was falling apart. So it was just like seeing him, it just like really fucked me up. And I'm like, damn, like, you know, like I stayed away from this, like, this is what I was doing to other people, and other people weren't getting fucked up and living life and having to cope with shit like this and deal with this shit when I was just in and out of jail, running around the street. So it was just like a lot of shit like bothered me, and I'm like, fuck. But still, it's just like, it's like a weird feeling because it doesn't make me sit there and like cry, but it just like makes me overthink a bunch of shit. Like, what the fuck? So it's a very weird feeling, but that's why I talk about shit like this, because everybody sees the happy me that and like all this and that, and that's why I try to like include the post, because I don't want to overdo it when I'm telling people about shit, because it's like, this is the life that I live now, but I'm living this life because of the shit that I went through and I pushed through it. So it's like, it's rough. It is. It's a struggle every day, and not just because of like me thinking about drugs. It's just like me thinking about the past and that's why
what could have been, what was.
Yep.
Well, as human beings, we constantly reanalyze everything that goes on in life. the biggest thing at the end of life when you're laying on your deathbed, 80, 90 years old, if we're lucky.
Yeah.
80, 90 years old, you sit there and it's regret. Damn,
Yeah.
I didn't take this experience and I didn't go do this. Damn, I didn't talk to that girl at the bar. I didn't do that. Maybe things would have been different if I rekindled a relationship with a family member. We constantly have those emotions. So especially when they're from past drug experiences where the senses were even more heightened, it could be even more sensational and emotional when it comes down to it.
So it's just it's crazy. It's like a whole thing. Like I always tell people, I'm like, yo, you can make a movie out of my life, like 100%, and it would be fucking crazy. It would be deep, and that's like I'm happy that they're doing more of like the addiction movies and shit like that, because that's what touches home. But it's like I want to see something of like what happens after it, like the people who make it, because like, yeah, it's a reality check when you see these movies and they're dark and they're twisted. Like I've been watching Dope Sick on Hulu, and it's just like it's an awesome show. It's just about like doctors and shit, like getting people addicted to OxyContin, knowing what it is, and they're getting the FDA label. So it's just like really fucking people.
Well,
so yeah, it's
well.
like,
If you've listened to past episodes of Rizzology, you know Nick's feelings on doctors and the pharmaceutical industry.
No, that's why I'm bringing it up. So it's just like,
listen,
you watch that show, you're like, fuck.
Doctors are mandatory in society. We need them to help us. We need them to do everything, but it is a fucking business when it comes down to it.
100%.
And if they cure every single person, a business without patience and without money is a failed business.
Yep.
So you have all these pharmaceutical companies. I'm not saying that they're doing it intentionally, but they're doing it. These are the side effects, but it's going to make you feel good. You might be hooked on it forever, but it'll make you feel good. Oh, how many people, and I'm not saying weak-minded like I'm trying to say anything, but like how many weak-minded individuals that have never really pushed themselves mentally, either through business, through physical activity, through experiences, go, oh, just give it to me, please. I need to get rid of this. People who take Tylenol for the slightest thing. Oh, just give it to me. I need to get rid of this headache. I need to get rid of this headache. Dude, I take Tylenol maybe like once a year if I got a really bad headache, and I rarely get them. So it takes a lot for me to want to put anything like that in my body.
Which you're smart. There's not a lot of people like that, man.
But I guess there aren't. I'm not as, I guess, my friends. I don't have any friends that have any addictions to substances. I've had family members that have battled with like Vicodin addictions from coming out of surgeries and stuff like that. I hurt my back bad in a car accident. I got hit from a car, almost T-boned me. I stepped on the gas at the last second. I was taking a left-hand turn down a side street, and they were doing about 75, 80 down the road, and no headlights on. They smashed into the back rear quarter panel of my car, and I blacked out. And I remember just kind of coming back to and looking around, and my blinkers were flashing, and the radio was off, and I was slow to get out. I was like, what the fuck just happened? I was young. I was 19 years old, 20 years old. I just bought my first car like a year before. And I got out the car and I saw the car, and I dropped to my knees. I was devastated. I took all of my money and bought that Audi. That was my car. And I remember just the rage that overflew me. But then the days after, I didn't go to the hospital that night for the car accident. But the days after, back's not feeling great. I don't know what's going on. The adrenaline wears off. The emotions come down. And I went to get an MRI, and they told me, they're like, yeah, you have L5-S1 herniations, and you're not sitting great right now. So I went to the chiropractor, everything like that, whatever. But they did give me Vicodins, and I remember sitting in bed. I'll never forget this. Actually, I was sitting in bed. I was playing Xbox, and I remember the Vicodin bottle was next to my bed. Now I'm not blaming my mom for this, because she probably had no idea. She painkillers for the kid, whatever. Like, she had no idea. My mom's not a substance abuser either. She's not someone who takes Tylenol either. So she doesn't really think of things like that. But man, if I really wanted to, I could have downed that fucking whole bottle. I could have taken a lot of them and really felt numb, and maybe I liked the feeling at the time, and went down a similar path but different. So, but I remember taking that first pill. I took a half of one because I was afraid of what it was going to do to me. I took a half of one. I felt good. I felt looser and a little bit more relaxed, and I threw them out. I dumped them in the toilet and I threw them out.
Smart.
I said, because I don't know. I feel like this type of a feeling, people are gonna chase that shit, and they're gonna want to have it continually, and I don't want to get down that. And I was 19, 20 years old. I just threw them out, and that's kind of my experience with the opioids. And ever since then, the only other time that I've had any, I broke my nose pretty badly, actually. I broke my nose playing football a couple days before New Year's Eve in 2012. Yeah, 2012. No. Yeah, 2012. Sorry. I'm trying to think. I like to get the dates correct. And me and this other kid, we collided faces playing football. We both dove for the same ball, smashed faces. My nose was like over here to the right side of my face. It was so badly broken. And then the top of my head, you probably can't see too much, but there's a scar right there.
A little bit, yeah.
His top teeth cut through the muscle on my forehead. Like we bashed faces like this, and then his teeth sliced my forehead open to the muscle, through the muscle. And all his teeth went through the bottom of his lip. And we went to the hospital, and they were in the ambulance. They were checking me. They're like, "Who's the president?" I'm like, "Obama." They're like giving me all the checks to see if I have a concussion. They're like, "What's the date?" I'm like, I don't fucking know. I have no idea what the date is." So I got to the hospital, and they gave me Valiums. Is that what they give there? They can give
you. Yeah, they can give you that.
I don't know if it was a Percocet. I don't know what it was. It was something. I think it was a Valium. That name sticks out to me more. And they gave it to me. And man, I like floated into the ER, even though my head was gashed open, everything like that. And they stitched my head open. They stitched my head closed, and they did everything. And then I went back for surgery, for nose surgery. I remember denying painkillers when they said, "Do you want to go home with any for the nose?" Because they had to re-break the nose, reset it. Yeah. My nose was so swollen when I got there from the actual accident. They said, "We can't even do the surgery today. You need to come back. It's so swollen, we can't get anything done." So 2 days later, it was New Year's Eve. 2 days later, I went in, and I went under anesthesia. I think I was under for 5 or 10 minutes, but they had to re-break and reset the nose from the inside to like make sure it was straight, because I couldn't breathe.
Yeah,
I couldn't breathe, and I still have issues out my nose, and I notice it every now and then. And this chicken pox scar used to be dead center on my nose.
Oh,
so I know y'all motherfuckers put my nose on wrong. you fucked it up. I know you did. You thought I wasn't gonna check. So when I got out of surgery, they asked me if I wanted painkillers. I said, "No, I'm good," and it didn't hurt. I was fine. The next couple of days, I had the 2 black eyes. I was chilling, and I had a little soft cast on top of my nose. But those were really my only 2 instances with any type of an opioid painkiller, and then Tylenol. I mean, that's fucking it. But it's very easy to abuse over the counter shit.
Oh yeah.
You know you got codeine and shit. You got all the different drinks that you could make and all the different things that you could start concocting in your living room.
It's crazy because I've done a lot of that shit, and I'm like, fuck, like years and money wasted on just doing crazy shit.
That would annoy me the most. The most that would annoy me was the years and money wasted.
Oh, I had a tracker on my phone. I had to stop it. Like, not a tracker to like track, but it's like every year you're sober, like I tallied up how much money I was spending every week on heroin. And then it transforms to month and years. And like after the 3rd year, I just shut that shit off. Because I was like, yo, I'm going to fucking flip out. Like the amount of money that I was spending. Because if you think I was getting a bundle of dope, which is 10 bags, I was getting like 3 or 4 of them a day at $80 a pop.
Wait a minute. Okay, hold on.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
so it was $80 a bag or $80
no, $80
for 3?
for 10.
For 10
bags. But I was getting like 40 bags a day.
You get 40 bags a day?
I was doing 8 or 9 bags in one shot.
Okay, so here's my question, because I'm very unfamiliar with all this. So, okay, how long does it last? Does a trip last with heroin?
Depends on you and how much you've done. Like the first time I shot 9 bags, it lasted me a couple hours, and I was good.
So you shoot all 9 at once?
Yeah, I was shooting all 9 at once. Sometimes I was mixing crack in it. Like,
so what is one? How long? So how big is one bag?
One bag is like, it will come in a size like that, but it's just like powder like this.
And you dilute it?
Yeah, you dilute it. You put it in a syringe cap. And
so now, if you were only to do 1 bag, how long would that last you?
At the point of like me just starting, it would last like half hour, 45 minutes. But like when I was like deep into it, like a minute or 2, I had to do. Yeah, I had to do shit. Like, and it was just like mixing back and forth. That's why I was like, yo, what the fuck am I doing? Like, that's literally how I stopped doing drugs, is that I was like, listen, like I had like a talk with myself in my head, and I'm like, I'm either gonna fucking die and just be okay with me dying, or I'm going to fucking change this, because it was like literally to the point where I was shooting crack and dope back and forth, bringing myself up, bringing myself down, bringing myself up, and I was going too high up because I was shooting crack, and then I'm like fucking tweaking out, not knowing what to do, wouldn't even leave my house, so I'm like, fuck, like I got to do something, then I would just go back down, and this was starting at like 7 o'clock in the morning.
So it was literally just a roller coaster ride all day for you.
all day. And it was just like, they call it speedball, and you're going back and forth, and I was mixing them together, and I was like, I'm literally going to die. So I just like literally fucking called up a rehab center, Seafield, and I was like, listen, I got to come in. I'm going to die. And they're like, all right, when can you come? I didn't even say anything to my mom. Carless, everything. I walked 3 miles to the place. I was like, I need to get in. I'm on probation. I'll go to jail. I don't give a fuck. Just let me know. Like, I'll go to jail afterwards, but I want to get sober first because I'm not going to get sober in jail.
So you were on probation, and then you went to the rehab.
Yep.
So why would they send you to jail for going to rehab?
Well, I was going to go to jail because I was violating probation. I had...
For using drugs?
Yeah, I had 18 violations, I think, probation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like, I just wasn't going one time, so then like then I started going, and they said that they would drop them, and then I got another like 10 violations because of just like dirty urines and just not caring. So I was looking to face like 2 years in prison. So at the end, the end was fucking crazy. Like my insurance wasn't going to cover me for rehab anymore, and I fought.
So is that how it normally goes? Or insurance covers the rehab, but if you don't have insurance, it's out of pocket?
Yeah, and it's a fucking lot of money. Like, people can't really just be paying for that unless you're rich. And
Well, I see the rehab centers like Malibu, and
Yeah,
that's the one that everyone wants to go to.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking country club.
And that's crazy because I was in I was in West Hampton Beach, which is not like, it wasn't a bad rehab, but it wasn't no fucking Malibu shit that you see on TV.
Yeah.
So like, I'm in there, and like my counselor was like, no, he wants it. We have to do whatever. I was like, listen, I'll go to fucking jail, prison, whatever after I finish this shit. I don't care. So they got me my whole full 28-day stay. I got out, and I was like, because I went to rehab twice before that, and they had to release me. And I went right back to doing drugs. I was like, I need the full 28. Like, it's not even about me getting out and wanting to do drugs. I need to learn about myself. I need to learn about why I'm doing what I'm doing. I need to fucking figure all this shit out. So I did, and then I got out, and I was like, I didn't think in my head this time. Something clicked. It wasn't like, oh shit, like I'm going to go to prison anyway, so I might as well get high. I was like, no, let me do this the right way. Even if I go to prison, whatever. It's what I did to myself. So like, I got into the outpatient. I started doing that, and I was going to probation. And when I went to the judge finally, like, I made a fucking video like a year in, and like, to my surprise, they were like telling me that they were playing it in rehabs and shit. It was just like a part of my journey. So they're playing it in rehabs. They were playing it in outpatients. My fucking probation officer saw it. So I go into probation one day, and she's like, I saw something of you. And I'm like, what the fuck now? Like,
Great.
And I'm like, shit. And she's like, and she turns her computer around. She's like, this video is really fucking good. She's like, that's all I'm going to say. But trust me, you're going to be happy with the people who saw that. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I have court in like a couple days. So I go to court, and the judge was like, listen, like, you have all these violations of probation. Like, I sat and I thought about this the whole time. She's like, never in the history of time have I ever did this. Like, you're off. Like, you have probation no more. Like, all your time is served, good, and you have the good time for probation, everything. Like, you're good. Like, do not fuck up. Do not make me look like an idiot for doing this. And I was just like, I just froze because I was like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about?
Second chance at life.
Like, yeah, like, I'm not going to prison. I'm not even on probation now. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, how did this happen? And they're like, that was a big thing that just kept me motivated and pushing. I'm like, I didn't want to tell people like, yo, this could happen to you too. Like, it's gonna. But I'm like, if you do the right thing, you never know what's gonna happen. And it was off of a video that I was just like, I want to do because I want to help people. And like, they all saw it, and they're like, this kid's fucking for real. Like, he's not missing shit. And like, they saw, like, I literally got out, got a job. I was fucking working in the city, leaving at like 4 o'clock in the morning, coming home, not even being able to shower and change, and going right to like the outpatient. Dirty as fuck, smelly, didn't even give a fuck. I was like, I have to be here. Like, this is the right thing. This is what's going to change my life this time. And then, boom, it just like was just so different. And then they started inviting me back to the rehab to speak. Like,
so I want to talk about your outpatient stuff, but I want to also backtrack and talk about when you went to rehab.
Okay.
So now you said you didn't go to prison, but you did go to prison.
No, I went to jail. I went to jail a bunch of times before
All of this.
Yeah.
So you're talking about post rehab.
Yup.
Okay. So rehab, a normal cycle to get off of drugs is 28 days at a rehab facility.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And what were those first couple days like?
Oh my God. Since I'm so real about it, like,
Be
I'm not
real.
even gonna lie to you. Like,
Be real.
I was happy that I didn't have a roommate because I had to sleep ass naked and sweat through sheets. I shit my pants, everything. Like, people think it's a joke when people are like, yo, you like shit your pants, you do this. Like, nah, it's no joke. Like, the withdrawals are the worst fucking thing ever. Ever. It's like, it feels like somebody's literally fucking you up. So like, I don't know, have you ever had COVID before?
I had COVID.
They said it's like, but somebody who had COVID and had withdrawals said it's like COVID ×4 what it does to your body.
So I'll be honest, COVID was nothing to me.
Yeah, see, some people did say that, but like when I like, okay,
Yeah,
so
COVID to me. So I got COVID twice. I got
Okay.
COVID a year ago, and it was I got my back was super achy, like just like I worked out.
yeah,
Super achy for a day, and then it went away, and I was like, okay, that was weird. I didn't hit back, so that was strange.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, I lost my taste and smell, and it came back 3 days after that. That was
Oh,
it.
shit.
That was all it was for me. I didn't have a cough. I didn't have a
Yeah,
fever.
so-
I didn't have anything, nothing like that. Then I got it this past December, along with everybody else.
yeah.
I got this past December, and I had a cough. And when I say a cough, it was like it was like that for probably about 3 days, 4 days, if that. And that was it. No fever,
Oh, so
no vomiting, no sickness, no nothing in that. It was nothing. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it was really nothing for me.
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
lucky
but
and shit.
but listen, man, I've also been, and I want to get back to you, but I've also been taking care of myself for years. Like I may not be in the pinnacle of my BMI and body mass
Yeah,
index
but
and all
you're
that.
healthy.
But I work out every fucking day. When COVID happened, I started getting unemployment, and because there was nothing really going on, and I stayed at home. I was home with my mom anyway.
Yeah.
And we weren't spending any money besides on groceries. I bought all equipment for the gym. I made a gym in my garage.
Yep.
I had all the homies come over. We were hitting workouts in the garage. We were
Yeah.
doing walking lunges down the street, down my fucking development street.
Yup.
Like we were after 4 months. No, it was like after 3 months. First month I took it seriously. I stayed home. I said, okay, we don't know what this is yet.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah,
stay
yeah.
home. Let me be respectful. Let me see what's going on. Second month, I was kind of getting a little skeptical. I'm like, okay, we're on month 2, whatever.
Yeah.
I was enjoying drinking a lot of whiskey and playing Xbox and
Yeah,
hanging out
chilling.
at home. I had the puppy, so he was keeping me more than busy.
Yeah.
By month 3 and 4, I was itching. I gotta
Yeah,
I
we
gotta
gotta
go
fucking do
fucking do
something.
shit.
Yeah.
I was doing shoots with Dre and
Yeah.
everybody, like in dungeon gyms.
Yup,
All
yup.
the gyms were open. Like there were no gyms open. We were
Yeah.
open. We were like no masks, no nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody was getting COVID. Everybody was
Yup.
just chilling together. I got it from some chick. I say it all the time. I got it from some random chick I saw for a little while.
Yeah.
She gave it to me because she was
Fuck.
around another kid, and that was it.
Yeah.
But besides that, I mean, we had athletes coming from around the world, nothing, and this
Yeah.
and that. But we never stopped working out. The coach that I worked with for bodybuilding a couple years ago, he's a doctor down in Florida. He told me the protocol to take to keep my immune system in shape. He taught me about vitamin D deficiency and zinc and everything that I needed to do to just keep on top of things. And I talk a lot, especially with my black friends. I talk with my black friends a lot because black people in general are already vitamin D deficient because of the melanin in your skin. So I don't know if people that are listening know this or not, but hopefully this is like a little bit of information because I haven't said this on the podcast yet. But I've told Jamal this, I've told Fab, I've told everybody. Like, your melanin in your skin already makes it hard for UV rays to get in. So that already makes you vitamin D deficient. Plus the winter when no one's really going outside, you're really vitamin D deficient. So I was on a protocol for most of COVID at 20,000 IUs a day. I was taking that for probably a little over a year and a half. I got blood work done this past August, September. I got blood work done, and I was just at the normal level. 20,000, and that's a white person.
Damn.
Yeah, no.
So yeah.
So you get any of my black listeners, and you're like, you got to get those levels
Yeah.
checked. It is imperative to your immune function.
Yeah.
So that zinc, I was taking vitamin C, I was taking vitamin A, I think. I don't know. But then there was also an antiviral. It's called Anti-V. It's a little Anti-V pill that has licorice and all the different mushroom roots and whatnot in that. I was taking that and then fish oil, and that was it. And we stayed healthy for 99% of this. So that's been my biggest caveat, and that like my biggest thing that I tell people is get that supplementation right.
Yeah.
Don't eat shit. Like, dude, for the first 3 months of COVID, we were all eating like shit.
Yup.
We were like, oh, shit, fuck it, the world's on pause. And we're all sitting back, fucking playing Xbox, chilling. Every day from sun up to sundown, where we dropping, playing Warzone and shit. Like, that was our lives.
Yup.
So, but then after that, we just knew, got to snap back in. We got to get back to the routine because a life without routine is scary.
Yeah, it's a mess. Yup.
So anyway, I'm sorry.
No, you're good, you're good.
I forget
'Cause
why
I'm learning about you now.
I forget why I
So-
started that tangent, but you were saying that the withdrawals are insane.
Yeah, it's like.
So you were saying COVID. That's why. That's how we got
Yeah,
on that.
yup. The people who I've heard that like had COVID bad, it's like that times 2 or 3. Like you can't even move. You can't do fucking nothing because you're so fucking sick. It's like the worst feeling ever. And it's just like but you know what's the worst part about it is like there's something that will heal you. Like with COVID, it's just like you got to let that shit play out. A bag of dope will cure you. A Vicodin, a Roxy, something like that will cure you, will take that pain away. And that's what fucks with you. And that's why people continuously go back. But it was just like, I got to get through this fucking pain. I'm like, I got to get through this fucking pain so I can fucking not have to feel this anymore. And like, that's one of the biggest reasons that it's like, I don't have to ever withdraw again. And if I do, it's my own fault. So it's just like, that's something I never want to feel again, ever. And like, that's like rehab, like, and that's like, I hate to say it, but like I make every situation the best. Jail, I made fun for myself because I take my mind and I put it in another place. Rehab was fun for me. Like I was running around in rehab with fucking Tigger slippers, making everybody laugh. They were like, bro, you are the best fucking thing. Like you're doing this, you're doing that. And like, they just like knew like, all right, this kid might be fucking around and having fun, but he's serious about his shit. And like the one guy told me, he was like, you know, that's why I never busted your ass. You look like fucking Suge Knight. He was like the guy in there, and I'm like, fuck, like this guy, this fucking guy Derek. I'm like, holy shit. And he was like, you know what? He's like, since you always want to talk and all that shit, he was like, I'm gonna make you host a meeting because the people who are supposed to ain't coming. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. And he was like, I knew you fucking would. And I did it. And he was like, see, he was like, that's why I made you do it, because everybody shut the fuck up and listened to you. And he was like, and you actually made sense and you proved the point. And he was like, thank you. He was like, when you get out of here, you're going to come back. And I did. I did like 5 or 6 times, and I shared there and just told people like, yo, I was in the same fucking rehab. Like, and this is what saved me, being in the rehab and seeing one of the people that I was in here 4 years ago come back, and I'm in here and he's here to share and tell us how he's still sober. So I'm like, that's like one of the main reasons I got sober, was like seeing somebody I used to like not personally get fucked up with, but I shared drug stories when we were both sick. And then like I get out, I go back to drugs. He got out, changed his life. Now he's back in here speaking, and I'm on the other side.
Preaching a
so
sermon.
Yeah, so I'm like, fuck. Like, it's just like little shit like that always stood out to me, and just like, but the ride has been crazy. I wouldn't change anything. Like, the more and more that I think about it, it's just like everything happened in my life for a reason. Like, I might not be who I am today if it didn't happen. Like, yeah, I don't know what could have happened, but like, as far as now, up to right now, I'm fucking happy.
No, that's huge. Your journey really does define you and establishes who you are as the years go on. You know, I tell people I had immense heartbreak when I went away to college. I had a girl that I thought I was going to marry, and we both went away to different schools, and one thing led to another. We didn't last more than a month and a half apart from one another, and that was kind of it. We broke up, and I turned to bodybuilding. I turned to bodybuilding to better myself, take my mind off things, improve, and get better. If I didn't do that and then become tight with all the people at the gym and eventually pick a camera up and eventually start doing a podcast, like, we wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah, exactly.
So the journey really is something. The ups and the downs, it sucks, man. I have a friend that constantly battles himself mentally, and he constantly goes through a lot of shit. Just beats himself up, constantly. Like, the lows are a low, which is just a bad day at work, is like the worst day he's ever had in his life. And I have to just kind of tell him, dude, these bad days make you appreciate the good days. We all go through shit. I go through shit on a daily basis. Clients annoyed at me because I didn't get a video done yet. Podcast, I gotta schedule podcasts around it and try to get the clips out and do everything and stay on social and be relevant and post clips and answer people.
It's hard.
It'll put you down sometimes. But then on those good days where everything goes right and you got 4 clients to hit you up and they go, the video you made was fucking amazing. And podcast clips that make people open their eyes and get excited about life or see things differently, and they go, damn, this is fucking crazy. I never thought it like this. You changed my outlook on something. It's all it's yin and yang, man. It really is. It's the balance point.
You do what you do.
It's the balance point with everything. I really do love what I do. And the podcast is a passion project. I don't get paid for this. If y'all thinking I'm raking this shit in, I don't get paid for this. Okay? I don't get paid to do the podcast yet. Maybe down the line, we'll see.
No, definitely you will.
I appreciate you, man. Listen, down the line, we'll see what happens. But I'm in this for the long haul. I say this on every episode. So anybody that listens to it regularly and religiously, you're gonna get bored for 2 seconds. I'm in this for the long haul. I'm not in this for short gains. So I want to keep having amazing people come on. I want to keep talking about stories and that make impacts and that challenge thought and make people go, you know what, you're kind of right, and stuff like that. It's the only way to have dialogue because everything is so fake nowadays.
Yeah,
everybody just wants to put fluff up, or they want horror. You know what I'm saying? Like they want to make everything the worst thing in the world. Fear porn. All the news
Yeah,
outlets,
yeah.
everything's the worst
Yeah.
thing, and there's another variant, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
just live life, just enjoy, and listen to some organic shit.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to bring on an episode by episode, bi-weekly. No, I'm sorry, weekly basis.
Yeah.
I want to actually step back for 2 seconds again.
Yeah.
They cut you off cold turkey.
No, they weaned me off, but they gave me, because I was like trying to refuse the Vicodins and shit, so they were giving me Klonidine to like lower my blood pressure because it was so high up. So they were like giving
From taking off.
Yeah, so they were like giving me shit to like calm down because I was like, this is why I fucking came here. I didn't want to take Percocet. I was like freaking out. So I'm like, no, they're like trying to take blood. I'm like, get this fucking thing. And the lady's like, you used to shoot up. Like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I didn't come here for any of this shit. Like, I'll sit in the bed sick as fuck. I don't care. Like, so they were just like, all right, just give him Klonidine, something like, and they told me, they're like, listen, if you get really bad, we're going to have to give you something so you like wean down. But it was the fact that it wasn't like, I wasn't withdrawing from Xanax. Like that, I would have had to take because I could have a seizure and die if I didn't take low doses of that. But like with the opiates, you can be fine from like withdrawing and like you won't die. So I was just like, this is what I want to do because like, in my mind, I'm like, you give me a piece of that, and if I start to feel any type of good, I'm out of here. I'll AMA, and that's basically you could just leave. So it's just like, I was like, I don't want that. Like, I know myself, and I'll fucking walk from here if I want to. And this is West Hampton Beach. I live in Patchogue, so I'm like, I'm not
I was
fucking
gonna be
playing.
stepping.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I know myself. Like, just please let me do this. And they're like, okay. Like, I had a rhyme and reason for why. So they were like, okay, it's not just like, he's not being like, give me more of this shit. I was like, don't give me none. Like, I'll settle for the shit that's non-narcotic, but like, don't give me any type of narcotics, even if it's the littlest dose. Like, I don't need that shit because like a lot of people, it like masks it. And like, I realized that when I was doing drugs, like sometimes I wouldn't have withdrawals after just popping a pill, and it didn't even hit me yet. It was just the fact of me knowing that it was gonna hit me eventually. So that was scary. It was just like, this shit didn't even hit me yet, but I don't have the withdrawals anymore because I put it in my mouth. So I'm like, this is fucking, like, that's how fucked up it is. It's just like,
It literally tangles up your mind.
mm-hmm. And it's just like, fucked up.
When did you see the light at the end of the tunnel? Like, when did you start feeling better? How many days in?
It was probably like the 4th day. And then I was like coming out of my room, like, oh, yo, what's up? I'm like all happy, a different person. I'm like cracking jokes and like, just
Meanwhile, you were
fucking running
Dr.
around.
Jekyll, Mr. Hyde behind the door, right?
Yup. So I'm like, fuck, like, this is crazy. And then I was like, yo, I'm ready to like actually do this. Like, I went through the roughest point at that part. Like, that was the baddest shit that I was gonna have to go through. But like one thing, and like, I don't mean to change the subject, is like
No.
what I try to tell people too is just like, sometimes like it doesn't, I don't want to say it doesn't get better, but like worse shit happens to you even when you're sober. Bad shit is gonna happen. And like I try to teach them that. I'm like, you gotta understand is like, what about people like, for instance, you don't do drugs. Now if something dramatic happens in your life and it's fucking crazy, like you have to deal with that. You don't have drugs to deal with that because you don't do drugs. So like now I'm just living a normal life and like shit happens. But like I went through shit. Like a lot of people who know me know what I went through before me and my girl got together. It's been like 2 years, but like right before her, like a year before her, I was with another girl and she just couldn't get it. And I had to leave because it was just either my life falling apart with hers, and like ended up having to help take care of her daughter because she wasn't coming home. And I was just like, I moved to a different town. I was like, I can't do this. Like, I need to focus on myself. I can't be helping you do all this and you're out drinking, smoking crack, doing all this shit. And like, I left, and
Literally the same environment that you're trying to
Yeah.
keep behind you.
I left, and fucking 7 months later, she was found dead in the woods in Selden.
Damn, that's so fucking sad.
So you know what I mean? But like,
What about her daughter?
daughters with the grandparents.
Okay.
So, but it's just like, that's the shit. And it's just like, yo, it like literally fucks with you. Like the shit that you go through. And it's just like, yo, and it's like fucked up to say, cause like rest in peace, whatever. But like I dodged that bullet because like when you're in love and you're doing that shit, you think that's the right thing to do. It's like, okay, we could do this. And we don't have to
Together.
yeah. And it's just like,
Battle our
I
demons
just
together.
knew. I was like, I got to get the fuck out of here. And it wasn't like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and get out of here. It was 1:00 in the morning. I'm like, I'm fucking out. Like, I can't do this. Like, I made it this far not to just stop now. Like, nobody's going to do this. And like, that's just how my mind works. I'm like, I'm out. Like, and like, that's it's a flaw too sometimes because I'm like so afraid of negativity that like I'll just get up and leave. Like that's just who I am. If like something negative is going on, I'm out. I'm like, I don't need that shit because I know how my mind works. So it's just like I'm gonna be fucked. And I know I'm gonna be fucked. So it's just like I'm out. And like I just told her and she was just like, oh, I don't think we're supposed to be together. I'm like, you think? It's fucking 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm trying to catch trains to Patchogue and I just literally Ubered for $100 to leave with my fucking whole house in an apartment. So I'm like, yeah, like that's how it is. Like I'm not gonna do this shit. So it's just like shit is gonna happen. Like, and like, I didn't believe in God before any of this. And now like I'm a big believer of God. Like I don't go to church all the time. It's not like nothing like that, but like, I just want to say like I didn't believe in God at all.
Higher power.
Yeah. I would used to say all the time like, I believe in God, he doesn't believe in me, like, or else my life wouldn't be like this. Like I was fucked up in the head, like the way that I thought. And it's just like, maybe he was watching me the whole entire time. Like, this is what is gonna be for you. Like I'm watching.
This is the journey that you have to make.
Yeah, like, and like.
Well, how many times could you have OD'd? OD'd.
I did twice.
Okay.
So yeah.
So but I'm saying to the point where you die.
Yeah, exactly.
Watchful eye potentially. You never know, man.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's just like something else, like you said, a higher power. That's what I like to relate to it as. But something was watching me, and something was making sure that I was making the right steps. Because like a lot of times that I was doing things, it was subconsciously, and I was just like not thinking about it. I was just doing it, and it was just like keeping me out of trouble and keeping me in like a good way. Because I've been through some shit, even in sobriety. So I'm like, but I just always am like, yo, like I see people like you, like I said before, you don't do drugs. So it's like, he's fucking doing this off of not doing drugs or anything. Like my mom, she did all this shit without doing drugs. My girl, she does this shit without doing drugs. It's like, I don't need to do that. Like I need to feel certain things. Like when I'm pushing it out and I'm like high all the time and it's just like, oh, okay, this person happened. It's just like, okay. But like, I feel like it fucked with me mentally because it's like, I'm so used to people dying that it's just like, okay, like
it's like another one.
Yeah, it's fucked up. And people are like even when I was going through the shit with my ex, my boys were like literally looking at me like, bro, it's okay to cry. And I'm like, for what? And they're like, bro, you just told us the craziest shit. And like, we know it's real because we see it. Like, and I'm like, yeah, but there's no point. And they're like, what the fuck? Like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like,
people process emotions differently.
Yeah.
Especially after I can't speak on that, but especially after drug addictions.
Yeah.
Like we said, it chemically alters you and you feel differently. And there's a lot of different things that go on mentally with you. So just everyone processes it differently.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. Doesn't mean anything like that. It just means that's your way of doing it.
That's what I always got to remember too, because I'm like, sometimes I feel fucked up for it.
Sometimes you feel guilty that you don't feel don't feel guilty or remorse. Listen, my grandfather died, and I didn't cry at first. It took me a while. I didn't really cry. He was sick at the end. I knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
I almost mentally prepared myself. My mom's really upset, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, this guy was a pivotal male figure in my life, and I'm not crying right this second. I felt guilty. I'm like, well, I should be really upset right this second. And it took me a couple days, and then a couple days went by, and the funeral started to happen, and that's when it hit me.
That's when you knew, yo.
It hit me when, said goodbye, and I got his necklace on and that he made and stuff like that. So that's when it really hit.
Yeah,
so people just process things differently, and there's a lot of different ways that we go through things. I think the biggest takeaway for that is just you can't feel guilty about it. You got to just understand that everyone's different.
Mm-hmm.
Just because somebody passes, just because a traumatic event happens, there are people that go through horrific events, violent beatings and muggings and this and that afterwards they're just kind of like, yeah, everything's okay, like it is what it is. Yeah, they don't process that trauma until years later. Yep. It's kind of just everyone's journey. Yeah. And that's what it comes down to. I kind of want to touch on real quick. I want to touch on mom. Okay. So how's mom been with the recovery?
Honestly, she's like fucking ecstatic, and it's like crazy because it's like she's so proud. She like every person she talks to, yeah, that's my baby, that's my boy, he's doing this, and like she makes sure that people know because like she made sure to let people know when I was fucked up. So now, you know what I mean? And I used to hate her for that shit, but now she makes sure to let people know that.
I don't tell them. Come on.
And it's just like, it's different. It's like, she knows I'm responsible now. She knows that I'm dependable. She knows that she can count on me. Like, we still have our little arguments. Everybody does. Like, but it's just the fact that, like, it's not like it was before. I'm not gone and she don't know where the fuck I am or if I'm alive. Like, she did once in a while if I'm like, forget to check in and I'm like, yeah, like, I'm at my girl's. Like, I'm staying here. Like, you know what I mean? Because that's basically what it is. But she'll just be like, are you okay? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what do you mean? I'm fucking 36 years old. Am I okay? And then I'm like, But I'm like,
Yeah.
she's just like,
But okay, in mom's defense,
Yeah.
my mom, say I'm 30 years old. Listen, I
Yeah.
had a curfew till I was 21.
Yup.
So I get it.
oh, if my mom could still give me a curfew, she fucking would. She 100% would, and I pay for all the shit. So
My
it's just
mom,
like,
my mom goes to me. You'll like this, and everyone listening will like this. So I'm going out to LA to shoot for Kai and Rain, and she goes, all right, you gotta tell me where you're staying, blah blah blah. I said, okay, I'm staying at this hotel. She goes, all right. She goes, give me Kai's number. I'm like, giving you fucking Kai's number. What are you, crazy? I said, go sit down. I'm gonna be fine. Relax. So
Yeah,
listen,
it's
an
moms.
It's an overprotective mom.
Yeah, I get it. And especially I put her through so much shit, so I can't, like, I got to sit back and think, like, okay, like, she's doing this because of this. So it's like, all right, I get it.
Yeah, but listen, man, you've had some tough times, and
Yeah.
you got some really amazing times kind of ahead of you. So,
Yes, sir.
what's your work with the rehab center? Do you still go there, or are you taking a break right now?
No, I'm taking a break. Like,
I know you mentioned it at the beginning. You said it was consuming your life a little bit.
Yeah, it was draining me, like helping other people. I had a business for a while called Hope Dealers, and we were doing events, and like I was just like constantly on the phone, helping people, doing interventions, everything, and it was just like I never got a chance to work on myself. So like that's what I'm saying. Like pandemic hit, and I was just like, oh shit, I could do this. Oh shit, I could do this. I could do that, and it was just like exploring. And like I've only been shooting for like a year, and like I'm like the clients are coming in. I'm like, holy shit, like I put my mind to it. So I'm like this. So I'm like, if I fucking would have did this the whole time, but I can't think like that because the reason why I am shooting the way that I am is because of this
Yeah,
stuff.
now going
it's the right
forward,
time.
this is the effort that I'm putting into it.
Yeah,
And you know, if you ever got questions, you hit the kid
yeah,
up.
no,
I got
definitely. I'd be paying close attention. I pay close attention.
I've been doing it for a little while now, and I kind of know a couple things. I'm still.
He said a couple things.
In my thought process, I'm still new to it. I still have so much to learn. And
that's what everybody says. That's why I respect all photographers, and there's no hating in the game that I've seen so far. I don't want to say
there is.
There probably
There's
is,
hating.
but like like that's why I want to say like a big shout out to I know you know Sway Tech.
Sway.
Any question he's like right there, and I'm like this is fucking awesome.
Sway's the homie, man. We started around the same time, and I met Sway at an event he was shooting for Condemned at the block party, the Natural Body block party.
Yeah.
Years ago. Met him, and I walked up to him. I said, yo, man, I see you work with Condemned. I was working with Arash and a bunch of other big names. I was working with Flex Lewis at the time.
Okay.
I said to him, I said, yo, dude, love your stuff, man. You're killing it, blah, blah. And we became friendly from there.
Yeah.
From there on, we worked a couple jobs together. We always network. I always talk to him every now and then. He did his little dip down to Florida. I was like, all right, fine, fucking leave us. And then he came back. So, it's all love, man. He's a good dude.
Yeah, no, he is. He's dope. I'm like, that's mad cool. Like, just to be able to reach out to somebody when I have questions and shit, I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Like, no hate. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm from like where people hate if you like ask a question they don't want to answer. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Listen, unless someone's poaching clients, which I've had to have that conversation with people before.
Yeah.
Like a couple people were messaging people that I work with directly, and they were like, "Oh, Nick does it for this. I'll do it." I said,
yeah, that's fucked.
I have conversations with these people. I go, yo, if you want to play that game, I'll shoot every single person that you work with for free, and we'll see who they really want to stick with. I was like, so let's not pull our dicks out and measure on the table right this second. Let's chill the fuck out for a second.
Yeah, because it's like
and then
they
go,
fucked up.
Okay, I get it. Okay, thank you. I appreciate
they
it.
wouldn't want it done to them. That's why like I'm very careful because I'm new, and then like I did a couple things for Tony, and then I seen I was like, oh fuck, like, but
fuck
like
no, man.
I know, I like,
Dude, it's
like,
all love.
But like that's why I want to give him a major shout out too for hummus and like Buffdo and all that shit because like. He literally was like, okay, didn't even see him in my work. He was like, I just know you. He's like, okay.
Yep.
So I'm like, yo, that's crazy. And then like, obviously, Brianna, you get your shout out because I seen him first on your page.
Chunk, Long Island, that's my girl. Best cookies in the game.
Nah, they really are. I keep saying that I'll take pictures, but I keep fucking eating them. And I can't fucking take the pictures. So I'm like,
It's so
fuck.
good.
I know. I'm like, fuck. But no, like, it's just like a lot of love and support. And it's just crazy. And like, I was telling somebody the other day, I'm like, like, I like to let people know about my recovery, but at the same time, like, as a photographer, I'm not like, I don't want that to be like the one up on certain shit. Like, oh, he was a drug addict and now he's taking pictures. Like, let's support him for that. Like, let's show him love for that. It's like, no, I want you to like my shit because of
I want
it
you to
being
appreciate my
good.
work.
Yeah, like
Appreciate
I don't
my
want
work.
the extra shit because it's like, oh, he been through some shit, so let's like appreciate his artwork like that. It's like, nah, if my shit sucks, tell me my shit sucks.
There's a Tech Nine song where he says at the end, it's Fragile. You ever heard the song?
Yeah.
And he says, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit.
Yeah.
Listen, that people don't get it if you don't do stuff like this. If
Yeah.
you don't do creative work, you don't really understand that. Your heart sinks when you put something on Instagram or you put something out there to get judged and for people to see and make critiques on or send to a client that just paid you a good amount of money to do this content for
Yeah.
you. And you're sitting there, to this day, I know that I'm good at what I do. And to this day, when I send a WeTransfer link to my clients and I get the email that they downloaded it, I sit there like this.
Yup.
I sit there like digging my nails and shit like, oh, do they like it? You don't hear back from them for 20 minutes. I go, no, they saw it.
Fuck.
Did they fucking like it?
Yup.
And then they hit me up. Yo, it's amazing. I go, oh, God.
Yeah, yup.
I can fucking relax now. Oh, my God.
I fucking hate it because like even like like my girl's like my model, so I take pictures of her all the time. I'm like, yo, you'll tell me. Like I was saying it to her yesterday. I'm like, you'll tell me if it sucks, right? And she's like, it doesn't suck. I'm like, no, but just be honest because like I have other clients, so I don't need you to tell me that this shit is good. And then I'm doing some shit for somebody else and it sucks. And she's like, I would tell you. So like I fucked with her. I sent like a crazy looking fucked up edit. Her skin was purple. I'm like, is this fire? She's like, shut the fuck up.
But yo, dude, how can people contact you? How can if somebody is going through something? I assume you're a cool support circle to contact.
Yeah. So my
I don't want to talk for you.
No. My Instagram is at Mr. Period Motivation 1985 on Instagram, and yeah, I don't want to just give my number out.
No, don't give your number. No.
But I mean, like, if it's serious,
that was Marina with breast cancer. She's like, should I give my number? No, please don't give your number. Everybody be hitting you up for dates.
But I mean, if it is serious though, 100%, like you can contact me and I will give you my number and we'll talk because I'd rather you be able to hear my voice when I'm speaking because I feel like that's how we could really get to the root of everything from that. But like, yeah, if you need anything, let me know because I'm not gonna like not answer anybody because crazy story before we stop.
Oh,
so. This is the fucking best one. So you know the Slut Whisperer, Kirill,
yes,
photographer and shit.
Yes.
So I was with a girl and she just like I was with her on and off for like 3-4 years and she just like started playing me, and so I took a picture in his hat, emailed him, and was like, yo, listen, I'm completely sober. You don't have to spend any money on alcohol or anything on me. I want to come party with you. Fucking emails me back. I don't see it for like 2 weeks. I'm like, motherfucker. He's like, what's your Instagram name? So I hit it back. Like, hopefully this motherfucker sees this and he didn't forget about me. 2 days later, I end up on his Instagram. If this post gets 100,000 likes by the end of the day, this kid's going to come out. Has my whole story about being sober and everything. Best fucking... It was kind of manipulative of me because I knew what I was doing. I wanted the world to see that sober people could still go out, have fun, remain sober, and blow up like that. I had 150,000 likes within like 5 hours. I went out, partied with him, ended up being the coolest dude ever, made sure that I fucking wasn't drinking. He just kept, you're not drinking, right? You're not drinking, right? Like cases of Red Bull and shit. And like I still did whatever he was doing except for like drinking and everything. So like we were chilling, and like the amount of people who got in contact with me from different countries, different states, like people who still reach out to me. This was 3 years ago. People still reach out to me like, yo, I'm still on your page. I still watch your shit. Like, you are a fucking blessing, bro. Like, you do what we all wish that we had enough strength to do. Like, hopefully one day I could do that. Like, you literally partied with one of the biggest party guys in the world sober. And I'm like, damn, like that was what
Impact.
Yeah. So
Impact.
It's just like, it's fucking great. And like, these people still reach out to me. I'm like, holy shit. And like, I have like a lot of people that follow me from that. So it's just like the fucking craziest thing. I'm like a little scheme that I did, like
still
this, you know what I mean?
It got the eyes in front of people.
Yup. And it's like, and it helped people. Like there's a couple of kids, not one. One hits me up every week, but like a couple will just hit me up and like just show me their coin. Like, yo, I'm at 3 years, and I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Like, that's fucking crazy. That like you watch my shit and you told me that I'm helping you stay sober. And you're at 3 years now. It's like fucking the weirdest shit ever. It's like
it's probably a euphoric feeling on its own.
Yeah, like when I'm just like, who's this fucking messaging me? And then I look and I'm like, oh shit. And
I've been like that sometimes.
Yeah, it's just like, what the fuck is this?
It says this one unread in the side box. You're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it's good.
Yeah, so I'm like, yo, this is fucking amazing. Like, it's a great feeling to know that like these people lived through me. Like, something crazy. I don't suggest everybody go do it, but it was like a fucking crazy experience. Like, definitely a crazy experience. And like, I don't know. It was a fucking.
Well, now they'll have this podcast to listen to and and hear the full story and everything like that.
Yeah.
But dude, I want to thank you for coming down.
Thank you.
You're the shit, man. I love the path that you're on. I love what you're doing, and it takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of heart to do what you're doing now. And to put the past behind and keep the past behind, because some people it's very easy to just dip a toe back in and fall back in. So, you know, if you ever need anything from me, I'm here for you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And
vice versa.
Anybody listening that wants to see some motivation, you got Mr. Motivation here, baby.
My man.
On that note, episode 18 is locked with my man. I appreciate you. Peace.